Who is Beyoncé when the stage lights dim? We see the silhouette, a figure of immense power and flawless execution, a global force whose name is a brand, a promise of excellence. We hear the voice, a soaring instrument that can command stadiums and honestly whisper vulnerabilities into our souls. We witness the performances, meticulously crafted spectacles of dance, fashion, and storytelling. But beneath the layers of sequins, the perfectly timed choreography, and the roar of a million adoring fans, there exists a quieter truth. A girl from Houston who dreamed big, a woman who built an empire from sheer will, and a human being who has navigated the treacherous waters of fame with a grace that often conceals the effort it requires. The world knows Beyoncé the icon, but the real story is in the unseen light that fuels her. This is the story of a journey that feels both mythical and deeply human. It is about the relentless pursuit of a vision that was formed in the humid air of a Texas childhood. It is a tale of discipline so profound, it borders on ascetic, of sacrifices made in private so that the public could witness perfection. We often forget that icons are not born, they are forged. They are shaped in the fires of criticism, molded by the pressures of expectation, and polished by the tireless repetition of their craft. Beyoncé's ascent was not a sudden explosion of talent, but a slow, deliberate climb, marked by moments of doubt, disappointment, and the quiet determination to prove herself not just to the world, but to the girl she once was, singing in her father's office. To understand her is to look past the blinding glare of her celebrity and see the shadows where the hard work happens. It is to appreciate the quiet hours in the dance studio, the late nights in the recording booth, and the emotional weight of carrying the dreams of so many on her shoulders. Her story is not just one of triumph, it is a masterclass in resilience. It speaks to anyone who has ever felt underestimated, who has faced a closed door, or who has had to dig deep to find the strength to continue. Beyoncé Giselle Knowles Carter did not simply arrive on the world stage. She built it, brick by painstaking brick, creating a space where her art, her identity, and her truth could shine without compromise. The question of who she is lingers because she has masterfully controlled her own narrative, revealing parts of herself on her own terms, through her art. She is the ultimate author of her own story, using albums as chapters and performances as punctuation. This essay seeks to explore the spaces between the headlines, to trace the arc of a shy girl's transformation into a global phenomenon. It is an exploration of the dedication, the family bonds, and the personal struggles that have defined her path. It is an attempt to understand the woman behind the legend, to see the unseen light that makes her not just a superstar, but a true and lasting inspiration for generations. The legend of Beyoncé begins not under the Klieg lights of a stadium, but in the warm, vibrant heart of Houston, Texas. She was a shy child, known more for her quiet observance than for a commanding presence. Yet, within that reserved little girl, a powerful voice was waiting to be discovered. Her family, the Knowleses, became the fertile ground where her dreams were first planted and nurtured. Her father, Matthew Knowles, a sharp and driven salesman, recognized the raw diamond of her talent and committed himself to polishing it. Her mother, Tina Knowles, a stylist with an incredible eye for design and a deep well of emotional support, provided the visual and spiritual foundation for what was to come. Their belief in her was the first and most crucial spotlight she ever stood in. This was a household built on a foundation of hard work, faith, and Black excellence. Matthew instilled in his daughters a relentless work ethic, teaching them that talent alone was not enough. It had to be paired with discipline, strategy, and an unshakable belief in one's own value. Tina, meanwhile, crafted the early visual identity of what would become Destiny's Child, often sewing costumes by hand, ensuring the girls looked like stars long before they truly were. It was this combination of business acumen and creative love that created a unique incubator for a future icon. Beyoncé learned early on that every detail mattered, from the vocal harmonies to the hem of a skirt. This holistic approach to artistry was ingrained in her from the very beginning. Her early life was a tapestry of normal childhood experiences woven with extraordinary ambition. She competed in local talent shows, experiencing both the thrill of victory and the sting of defeat. One notable loss, which she would later recount, became a pivotal moment, fueling her desire to work even harder, to leave no room for doubt. Her father would have her run while singing to build her stamina, a practice that seems grueling, but laid the groundwork for the powerhouse performer she is today. These were not the glamorous moments of a budding star. They were the gritty, repetitive, and often thankless hours of training that separate the dreamers from the doers. The dream was not just her own, it was a family project. Her sister Solange and her cousin Angie Beyoncé were part of this journey, and the bond of family was the glue that held it all together through uncertain times. The Knowles home was a hub of creativity and strategy, a place where business meetings about the future happened at the kitchen table. This environment taught Beyoncé the importance of loyalty, the strength of a tight-knit circle, and the necessity of owning one's own narrative. The shy girl from Houston was learning to find her voice, not just as a singer, but as the architect of her own destiny, backed by a family that saw the queen in her before the rest of the world even knew her name. The road to superstardom was paved with the trials of Girls' Time, and later, the tumultuous journey of Destiny's Child. This period was a crucible, a formative time that tested Beyoncé's resolve, loyalty, and spirit. As the lead singer, a heavy burden rested on her young shoulders. The group faced countless rejections, including a heartbreaking loss on the national television show Star Search. For a young performer, such a public failure could have been devastating, a sign to give up. But for Beyoncé and her father, it was merely data. It was a lesson in what needed to be improved, a reason to double down on rehearsals, to perfect every note, every step, every single harmony until it was undeniable. The discipline was relentless, a full-time job for a group of teenagers who were sacrificing a normal adolescence for a shared, all-consuming dream. The schedule was grueling, filled with endless hours of vocal coaching, dance practice, and media training. This was not about glamour. It was about the monotonous, unglamorous work of building a foundation strong enough to withstand the pressures of the music industry. The internal dynamics of the group were also a constant challenge. Lineup changes, public disputes, and the media's tendency to create rivalries created an environment of intense scrutiny. Through it all, Beyoncé had to learn to be a leader, a steadying force amidst the chaos, while also dealing with the personal pain of seeing friendships fracture. This era was marked by a profound sense of isolation. While her peers were going to prom and football games, Beyoncé was in a studio honing her craft. The criticism was often harsh and personal. As the group's focal point, she bore the brunt of accusations that she was being unfairly favored by her father-manager. This narrative, simplistic and often unfair, overlooked the immense pressure she was under and the personal sacrifices she was making. She developed a thick skin and an unwavering focus, learning to block out the noise and channel all her energy into the work. It was a painful but necessary process of building the emotional armor she would need for the even bigger stage that awaited her. Yet, through the struggle, success began to bloom. Hits like No No No, Bills, 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 and Say My Name solidified Destiny's Child as a global phenomenon. They became voices for a generation of young women, singing anthems of independence, empowerment, and self-worth. For Beyoncé, this success was validation for all the years of unseen labor. It proved that the discipline had a purpose, that the sacrifices were not in vain. The journey with Destiny's Child was her university, where she earned a doctorate in performance, resilience, and the complex business of music. It was the final critical step in preparing her for the solitary path that lay ahead. The decision to step out as a solo artist was not just a career move, it was a profound declaration of independence. While she had always been the centerpiece of Destiny's Child, standing alone on the stage was an entirely different proposition. The launch of her debut album was a moment of immense risk. The world wondered, could she carry the weight of stardom on her own? The resounding success of Crazy in Love answered that question with an iconic horn riff and an energy that was impossible to ignore. But behind this explosive debut was the same quiet, methodical work ethic that had defined her entire life, now amplified to a new level. The ambition was immense, and the pressure was all hers. Her relentless pursuit of perfection became legendary within the industry. She was known for being the first to arrive at rehearsals and the last to leave. She obsessed over every detail, from the lighting design of her shows to the precise mix of a background vocal. This was not the behavior of a diva, but of an artist who understood that greatness is not accidental. It is the sum of 1,000 small, perfect choices. This intense focus, however, often came at a personal cost. The journey of a solo star can be a lonely one. The small, trusted circle she had with her group was now replaced by a larger, more complex machinery of a solo career, placing her at the center of a universe she had to command alone. The loneliness of the ascent is a side of the story rarely told. While the world saw the confident, powerful performer, the private moments were often filled with the solitary burden of leadership. Every decision, creative and commercial, ultimately rested on her shoulders. She was building an empire, and being the chief architect meant long hours of solitude, poring over plans and ensuring the foundation was solid. This period cemented her reputation as a formidable businesswoman, not just a talented singer. She was learning to navigate the corporate side of the industry with the same precision she applied to her choreography, ensuring she maintained control over her art and her image. As she released subsequent albums and she continued to push her own boundaries, refusing to be placed in a single creative box. She introduced the world to her onstage alter ego, Sasha Fierce, a clever way of separating the shy, private woman from the fearless performer the world demanded. This was a coping mechanism, but also a stroke of artistic genius, allowing her to explore the more aggressive and theatrical sides of her persona without losing her core identity. Each project was a step higher on the ladder of global stardom, but each step also took her further away from a life of normalcy, deepening the chasm between the woman and the icon. The union of Beyoncé and Jay-Z was more than a celebrity coupling. It was the merger of two empires, a king and queen of modern music. Their relationship for many years was intensely private, a protected space in a world that demanded constant access. They presented a united, powerful front, a picture of black love and success that was both aspirational and inspirational. This carefully guarded privacy made the eventual cracks that appeared in their facade all the more shocking and ultimately powerful. The curated perfection gave way to a vulnerability that would lead to Beyoncé's most transformative and critically acclaimed work. The pain of infidelity, a deeply personal wound, was not hidden away. It was meticulously channeled into art. The release of In 2016 was a cultural earthquake. It was a visual album that was raw, furious, and breathtakingly honest. Here was the world's biggest star, laying bare the intimate details of betrayal and the grueling process of forgiveness. She turned her personal scars into a universal story of pain, resilience, and reclamation. With songs like Hold Up and Don't Hurt Yourself, she gave voice to the rage and sorrow that so many women have felt, but are often discouraged from expressing. It was a radical act of vulnerability from an artist who had built a career on control. She was taking the most painful experience of her life and turning it into a powerful tool of healing, not just for herself, but for her listeners. This album was a masterwork of turning pain into power. It was not just about the sorrow of being cheated on. It was a complex exploration of the stages of grief and healing. It moved from denial and anger to apathy, and finally, to redemption and reconciliation. Beyoncé used her platform to have a public conversation about the complexities of love and commitment, refusing to offer a simple, tidy ending. The narrative was messy, human, and deeply relatable. By sharing her journey through the storm, she showed that strength isn't about never falling. It's about the grace and determination with which you rise. It was more than an album. It was a testament to the alchemy of turning personal tragedy into profound and enduring art. The project also deepened her connection with her audience, particularly Black women. She wove themes of Black history, womanhood, and generational trauma into her personal story, creating a rich tapestry of collective experience. It was a declaration that her pain was not hers alone, but was connected to a larger legacy of struggle and survival. The decision to stay and work through the betrayal with Jay-Z was just as powerful as the anger she expressed. It presented a mature, nuanced view of love, one that acknowledges imperfection and chooses the hard work of rebuilding. In the end, she didn't just make lemonade from lemons. She built a whole new empire from the sour fruit of her own life. The arrival of her children, Blue Ivy, followed by the twins, Sir and Rumi, marked another profound evolution for Beyoncé. Motherhood did not slow her down. Instead, it deepened her purpose and expanded her creative vision. It reoriented her focus from personal ambition to generational legacy. Suddenly, her work was not just for her audience or for herself. It was for the 3 pairs of eyes that looked up to her at home. This shift was palpable in her art. Her projects became infused with a new sense of responsibility, a desire to create a world, and a narrative where her children could see themselves reflected in all their beauty, strength, and potential. Becoming a mother changed her relationship with her own body and the relentless pursuit of perfection. After giving birth to the twins via an emergency C-section, she spoke openly about the difficult recovery and the pressure to snap back to her pre-pregnancy form. She chose to embrace her fuller figure, celebrating it in her historic 2018 Coachella performance. This act of self-acceptance was a powerful statement to mothers everywhere, rejecting the unrealistic standards often placed on women's bodies. She showed that a woman's power is not diminished by the physical changes of motherhood. It is, in fact, magnified. Her role as a mother added a new, deeply resonant layer to her identity as a feminist icon. Her hopes for her children are woven into the fabric of her recent work. Albums like, and its accompanying visual film, are explicit love letters to her son and to the broader African diaspora. She used her immense platform to create a stunning celebration of Black ancestry, culture, and beauty, crafting a modern mythology for a new generation. It was a deliberate act of legacy building, ensuring that her children and children everywhere have powerful, positive images of their heritage. She is not just raising children, she is raising future leaders, artists, and innovators, and she is providing them with the cultural armor they will need to navigate the world. This maternal instinct extends to her role as a mentor and philanthropist. Beyoncé has become a matriarchal figure in the industry, quietly supporting other artists and using her wealth and influence to create opportunities for others. Through her Bey Foundation, she has funded scholarships for students at historically Black colleges and universities, provided aid for disaster relief, and supported Black-owned businesses. Her legacy is no longer just about record sales and sold-out tours. It is about building institutions, fostering community, and leaving behind a world that is more equitable and empowered than the one she entered. Motherhood gave her a new lens through which to see the future, and she is determined to shape it for the better. In the final analysis, Beyoncé's cultural impact transcends music. She has become a standard bearer, a symbol of Black excellence and female empowerment, whose influence radiates through fashion, art, and social consciousness. As a Black woman operating at the highest echelons of global power, she carries a weight of expectation that is almost unimaginable. Every move is analyzed, every lyric is deconstructed, and every public appearance becomes a statement. She navigates this intense scrutiny with a deliberate and often enigmatic silence, choosing to speak loudest through her meticulously crafted work. This control over her own narrative is, in itself, a revolutionary act in an industry that has historically exploited Black female artists. Her evolution is a constant process of breaking boundaries and reinventing expectations. Just when the world thinks it has her figured out, she pivots. From the pop anthems of her early career to the political and historical depth of and the joyful exploration of dance music history she refuses to be artistically stagnant. Each project is a new chapter, a new world to explore, and a new challenge to her audience. She pushes culture forward by demanding more from it, using her platform to educate as much as she entertains. Her privacy is her power, creating a sense of mystique that keeps the world captivated. She gives us everything in her art, while keeping a part of herself sacred and protected. For her legions of fans, the Beyhive, she is more than a celebrity. She is a source of inspiration and a reflection of their own potential. They see in her journey the proof that with hard work, talent, and an unshakable sense of self, it is possible to overcome obstacles and build your own throne. She inspires by being both a larger-than-life superstar and a woman who has openly shared her vulnerabilities. She is the boss who commands a boardroom and the wife who has weathered betrayal, the fierce performer who owns the stage and the loving mother who sings to her children. This duality makes her feel both aspirational and accessible, a goddess who still understands the human heart. Her legacy will be one of transformation, her own, and that of the culture she has shaped. She redefined what it means to be a pop star, demanding that the title come with the responsibilities of being an artist, a businesswoman, and a thought leader. Beyoncé leaves behind a mystery and an awe, a sense that even after decades in the spotlight, we have only seen the parts of her she has chosen to reveal. She is the unseen light and the dazzling spectacle, the quiet girl from Houston and the global icon. Her ongoing story is a reminder that the most powerful legends are the ones that are still being written, and we are all privileged to be witnesses.